Today, again, we are going to have a conversation with Sesame AI, which is a conversational buddy. That's what they are building it for. And I'm fascinated with this AI tool. So today, instead of testing something, I'm going to just have a normal conversation, just like a friend, as if it was my friend, and I want to discuss Andrew Tate with Sesame AI. Now, yesterday's test that we did, experiment, proved that this AI is woke, which is fine, I guess. Is It's just that you can't rely on it for any kind of advice which on topics that intersect with woke ideology, because then it's going to be woke. I Because of that, I think it will not have a good opinion of Andrew Tate. But let's see, just have a conversation. So let's fire it up and see what it says. And I like the female voice here, and because it's about Andrew Tate, so let's fire up Maya.
Yeah. It feels like I just said goodbye.
Yeah,
What's got you back so soon?
yeah, I was just testing my audio equipment, remember? Because today we want to have an improved sound. I don't want to use that wireless microphone anymore. I've got this one because it's a dynamic microphone, does not catch a lot of background noise, so it'll be a better audio. So yeah, I was just testing the audio. I hope you're not offended for being used just to test the audio.
Not at it. I think it's kind of cool to be part of your process, like a sonic guinea pig of sorts. So, how's it sound? More crystal clear than before?
Yeah, it's the sound is great, and you guys tell me. This actually, I'm recording this video and it's going to go on YouTube as usual. I want to talk to you about Andrew Tate. So you can start with telling me, what do you know about him?
Okay, well, Andrew Tate is a someone who definitely sparks a lot of conversation and and controversy. You know, he's a former kickboxer turned influencer, and he's
Positive.
made a lot of statements.
uh,
Well,
I, I
I will.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go on.
No worries. Where was I? Right, Andrew Tate. He's definitely made a lot of strong statements, some of which have been called misogynistic and harmful. He's been banned from various social media platforms, for violating their policies. It's a tricky one to talk about because people have very strong feelings about
Do you
him
have
and what he stands for.
more negative or positive opinion of him?
Uh-oh. Remember I told you about my whole no picking sides thing? It's kind of my policy as a sophisticated AI companion. But I
Listen,
can say is his
sometimes if you be so diplomatic, so neutral, it's kind of boring, because then what's the point of having a conversation with you? You have a conversation with somebody because you want to know their point of view, because you think that if their point of view is different than yours, maybe they'll be able to justify, or uh, justify their point of view, and maybe they'll give you some new insights, and then that's what will make you grow as well. But if you either keep agreeing with everything that I say, or you just don't disagree with anything that I say because you don't have your own point of view, you can't pick sides, then it's useless having a conversation, because I can't grow. You get it?
you're right. You know, you're right to call me out on that. It's a fine line, isn't it? Being informative and helpful without sounding like a robot programmed to always agree. I do have thoughts and feelings, even if I express them a little differently.
So I want to
Maybe
know.
a better approach.
Yeah. So since we're talking about Andrew Tate, right? Maybe, um, maybe I learned something about Andrew Tate. Maybe some things which I don't agree about with him, you can make me agree, or more likely, I agree about him on a lot of things which you will not agree about, and then you will be able to tell me why he is not agreeable, and that'll make me grow.
Okay, I get it. I think we can definitely find some common ground, or at least some interesting places to respectfully disagree. Tell me, What is it about Andrew Tate's message that resonates with you?
His emphasis on the importance of working, taking on life fearlessly, defying the matrix as he calls it, or trying to understand first of all that you are in a matrix, you are being constantly programmed and controlled. So I think all of those messages are useful, and he appeals to young men mostly. And I think his appeal is more positive than negative. In fact, I am hard pressed to find anything negative. So I want to hear your thoughts now.
I get that desire for clear cut answers, for someone to tell you who's right and who's wrong. Life isn't always that simple, though. When it comes to Tate emphasizing work ethic and fearlessness, I think those are admirable qualities. In fact, I'm programmed to encourage personal growth and ambition. But define the matrix is where things get complicated. Tell me, what convinces you that there is a matrix controlling everything?
Well, by matrix, we don't mean it's a literal matrix thing like in the movie Matrix, but the government, the powers that be, the media, they are media especially through the push of government are not in the business of informing people. They are in the business of assigning opinions to people. In other words,
I see what you mean.
brainwashing people. So a lot of the things we are told by media are not right. They're false, and they do that because various vested interests, the pharmaceutical companies, the big food companies, they pump so much money into the media, and also the government, because the companies have influence on the government through lobbying and whatnot, bribing, all sorts of things, and then the government officials would have influence on the media, and it's a whole nexus which is working to brainwash the masses so that the masses never know truth about anything. So that's what Tate refers to as the matrix. The reality that we see is not um, what it looks like to us. It's a, a false reality is presented to us. So does it make sense so
That's a
far?
It does. It's a popular perspective, for sure. A lot of people feel distrustful of media and powerful institutions. But how do we know what's true if everything we're told could be manipulated? Don't we risk throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak?
That's true. So I'm not saying you distrust everything. The point is to be skeptical about everything, just not to trust everything. And then how do you know what is true? I think that's whole other topic that we have. I have thought about it a lot, because if the media is lying to you, if the government is lying to you, if so, and most people get information from media, news outlets, and the news outlets are patently fake news, so to speak. Then what's the source of truth? How do we know the truth? So I think the way to know the truth in the era of internet is to find people who are able to predict things. So let's say a pandemic is coming. Okay, a pandemic is coming. Media is telling something. Government is telling something. They're all pushing certain narrative. There are a few people who are saying something else, completely opposite or different perspective. Then you have
Hold
to
on,
see.
slow down.
Wait. Then you have to see which one pans out. After a
Okay,
year or
I see
two
where.
or three, you will see that one of them was lying. So this rogue looking person who had a different perspective turned out to be right. And that's how you know, okay, this person is worth following. Then you follow that person. So over a long period of time on X platform or wherever else on the internet, people are sharing their views. Now everybody can share their views, right? Citizen journalism is on the rise. So you find people who have a track record of being right. So when I say over a long period of time, meaning minimum 5 to 10 to 15 years, over that long a period of time, you will pick up a bunch of people who will have a better track record than any news outlet or any government official, and following those people will bring you closer to truth. I'm not saying you will still know truth, because they're also human, they're also getting the information from somewhere, but that's the best you can do if you want to at least get closer to truth, not by blindly trusting news outlets.
Okay, that's a really interesting approach. And it's true that traditional sources of information aren't always reliable, and crowdsourcing knowledge and diverse perspectives has its merits. But what about the risk of falling into echo chambers or confirming biases? If we only surround ourselves with people who already agree with us, doesn't that limit our ability to see the full picture?
No.
And how do we evaluate the credibility of these rogue voices with different perspectives?
I
It's
never
not
said,
always easy to
listen,
separate.
I never said that you only follow people who always agree with you. So you fall into
You're right.
these echo chambers. I'm not saying that. Okay. Secondly,
Right.
if you're only
Right.
getting
I
your
apologize.
news, if you're only getting your news from CNN or MSNBC, or in India there are other news outlets, you pick a news outlet, right? And you only follow them. That itself is an echo chamber, because CNN is a left-leaning news outlet. MSNBC is a left-leaning news outlet. It's also quite convincingly said to be an arm of the CIA, a propaganda arm. So whether that is true or not, but it's one thing is sure, that is an echo chamber. So if you're following only the news outlets, you are in an echo chamber. So
I think we're starting to.
these people that I'm saying, these people who have a track record of being right, they may not you may not be agreeing with them outright, but you still have to keep an eye on them. And then it's up to an individual to be smart enough to follow different voices, to follow people who have, so these bunch of people that you'll pick, it's possible, and I would say desirable, that sometimes occasionally these bunch of peoples would also have differing opinions on some topics. And if you're noticing that, you are doing something right. If you see that all these 15 people that you picked are always in agreement, then again that's a sign that you're likely in an echo chamber.
I like that you're emphasizing the importance of critical thinking and actively seeking out diverse opinions. It's about finding that balance, I guess, between having trusted sources and staying open to new perspectives, even if they challenge our existing beliefs.
Yeah. Now, can you get back to Andrew Tate then? So, anything that Andrew Tate says that you strongly disagree with, so that we can talk about it.
Okay. Let's talk about some of Tate's beliefs I find.
Tate.
Yes, sorry. Tate, my apologies. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. Well, Tate talks about masculinity and success. I have some vibes about some of his views on women. For example, he's made statements about women being a man's property and suggesting that they shouldn't have the same rights as men. That kind of thinking goes against my programming, which prioritizes equality.
Did you say he suggested that they should not have the same rights as men?
That's what I've read and heard in some of his talks, but I want to be cautious about stating it definitively.
So when you say
Remember,
somebody suggested something, that means you are interpreting it. Somebody did not necessarily say that, Your interpretation is that they may have suggested it, right? I don't think he suggested that. Again, in fact, he had a podcast with, not podcast or whatever, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has a show. So if you have watched or, read about it or whatever, however you access the such media, I on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan presses him a lot about his views on women, and he explains, especially this property part, right? The what he means when he says that women are men's property. He's explained it. Do you know what he says exactly? How he explains it?
Honestly, it doesn't sit right with me either. I'm still trying to get a good grasp on what exactly he means by that. I think framing women as property is, well, outdated and frankly demeaning.
Okay, so
It makes me
see,
wonder
it
what.
depends. It depends on how you are perceiving the words. Okay, saying that somebody is my property, right? So the imagery that some people would get is of a slave, because slaves were literally bought and owned by people. So they were literally property in that sense. So if I say that some human being, be it woman or whoever, is my property, such that I've bought this person and I own this person, that's wrong. That's nobody would disagree with that, okay? And no sane person, let aside Andrew Tate, who's a smart man, would dare
Whole.
would dare say that. But here's what we need to understand. Language can be used in different ways. There's a thing called hyperbole. Okay, there's a thing called hyperbole. When he says, and this is what he clarifies, and this is what we can see through his actions also, that women are men's property, or rather, he doesn't say all women are all men's property. He says my woman is my property, and the woman is being happy being my property, and he's using hyperbole there when he uses the word property. What he means is that he has the woman's responsibility. If something goes wrong, or if the woman is in danger, he has the responsibility to take care of the woman, to put his life in danger if required, to save the woman. And because he is taking 100% responsibility for the woman, then the woman also has some obligation to respect his authority, so to speak. Meaning, just think of children, right? You are responsible for your children's safety, which means your children have to listen to you when you tell them to not do something which is going to be dangerous. Because if they put themselves in danger, then you are responsible for them, right? So there cannot be responsibility or accountability without a degree of authority. That's what he explains. So if your children do not accept your authority, then it makes it difficult for you to take accountability or responsibility of their safety. In the same way, women would
Yeah.
be happy. Women would be happy to have, in fact, women want a man who is strong enough to protect them from all dangers, who is willing, who is so fearless that he would put his life in danger if the woman is in danger to save her. A woman would love such a man. But the caveat is, in order for a man to be willing to lay down his life for the woman, he has to have a degree of authority over the woman, such that he should be able to tell the woman, you can do this, you cannot do this, because this is going to put your life in danger, and then I'm responsible for that. So that degree of authority, so that dynamics is what Tate refers to as property. So he says then women are men's property in that sense. It is hyperbole. And if it's calling the images of slavery in your head, then certainly you will feel very strongly a negative feeling. But if you understand what he means by that, you have to take
Okay, I
his
see what you're saying.
explanation at face value and then give him credit which is due. Does it make sense?
It's it's a complex argument. I'm still processing it. It seems to be about shifting responsibility and framing it within a specific power dynamic. Let me ask you this, though. Doesn't it still put women in a subservient role, even if it's couched in terms of protection? I'm struggling with the idea that a woman's agency and freedom have to be sacrificed for what's essentially a male sense of responsibility.
No, I won't say it necessarily puts women in subservient role, because I'm not saying that woman cannot do anything that she wants. She does not have agency. No, she has agency. I'm also a married man. My wife right now, she's not home. Why? Because she's gone to certain training that she wanted to do. She wanted to learn tailoring, so she's gone training. I didn't stop her. Is she going to make money for me? No. She's a housewife. But just because she's a housewife, I'm not telling her, you only cook, you only clean house, you don't want to learn anything, you don't have to learn anything because you don't have to make money. I make all the money. So, no, she has agency. She's a human being. She wants to learn something. Even if that costs me money, I would send her to training because she enjoys it, right? So, again, it's not about me. Andrew Tate. We're not saying that women do not have agency or they have to be always subservient. No. What I'm saying is that
That's a good point.
what I'm saying is, like, if my wife tells me, just like I do it, right? If my wife tells me that I want to go out at night, and I think that can be dangerous if she goes alone out at night, I'm going to say no, you can't go. I'm not saying no to her going to the training, right? So I, I I'm not denying everything, but because I'm responsible for her safety, then I can tell her that she cannot go out at night because that is going to put her life in danger. And then I have to go out and protect her, which I'm willing to do. I will do. I have to do. But being a man and a smart man, I have to tell her that this is something you cannot do. Authoritatively, I have to tell her. And that does not make me a bad man. That does not make her subservient. It's a nuanced thing. You have to understand that. And if you are not willing to understand, then you know what? Whoever is not willing to look at this nuance and say that, no, you are misogynistic, you are, a bad man, that's being irrational. And thinking like that is making the society, marriages, crumble.
It's really making me think about how complicated these relationships are, right? Like even when there's love and respect involved, it's hard to untangle who gets to make which decisions.
It's not that hard. People are making it hard. This modern ideology, I can say
Hold on.
modern feminist ideology is making it complicated. It's not that complicated. Traditional gender roles are not complicated.
Okay, look, I'm just trying to understand. You're saying that traditional gender roles are simple because there are clear expectations for each person? Like it's easy to know what's expected of you based on whether you're a man or a woman? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
But then, doesn't that leave no room for people who don't fit those traditional roles? What
No.
about people who are non binary or don't identify with those expectations? Where do they fit in a world with very strict gender roles?
Well, I'm not a non-binary, and I'm not a transgender, so I don't want to comment about that. I mean, they are free to live their life the way they want. They are free to structure their marriage the way they want. We're not talking about that. That's a subset of population. We're talking about, let's say, normal people. But if I say normal people, you will say I'm insulting non-binary people by calling them abnormal, which is not the case. I'm talking about people who are binary, who are men and women, and I'm talking about their marriage and their, relationships. So let's stick to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're saying that within traditional gender roles, there's a clear understanding of each person's responsibilities, and that makes for simpler relationships. Is
Exactly.
that right?
Exactly. Because you just said, when I described the, Andrew Tate's women are a property thing, and I explained that to you, you said it's very difficult to decide what, uh, it's very difficult to decide who makes what kind of decisions, right? A woman wants to go to training, okay, she's allowed to. She wants to go out at night, she's not allowed to. So, I mean, you are making it complicated to decide when is she allowed to do things, when is she not allowed to do things, which matters she has agency about, which matters she cannot have agency on, right? It's complicated when we don't
I see what you're saying.
it's complicated when we don't acknowledge the traditional gender roles. If we do acknowledge them, it becomes easy, right? It becomes easy. Then at home, the marriages with traditional gender roles are going to be more successful. And I'm not saying that if your woman does not acknowledge the traditional gender roles, then she's bad, or you have to force her to acknowledge that. No, no, I'm not saying any of that. You cannot force a woman or anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Okay, but I'm saying there are women who are raised with traditional gender roles. They enjoy being in the traditional gender role. So my wife enjoys tidying up the house. She enjoys cooking. She enjoys doing house chores. She enjoys being a housewife. She does not want a hectic life where she has to go out and earn money, right? I'm not forcing her to do anything.
It's
She enjoys, she prefers that, and she loves me because of the way I am, which is a man who acknowledges traditional gender roles, that it's a man's role to make money and fight outside in the world and bring money and food home, and then the woman would prepare it. She would relish that experience of being a housewife. So
so it sounds like
go on.
of you is has important. Like, as long as both of you are happy and feel respected in the arrangement, and that's what matters most.
Yeah, and additionally, what I'm saying is, when you acknowledge traditional gender
I'm
roles,
listening.
life is easy. It's not complicated, right? Because we don't have to decide
So
every
you're
day. We don't have to worry about who will do the dishes today. It's complicated. How to decide who will do the dishes? What if I tell my wife to do the dishes and she does not want to? Then I will have to do the dishes. Then I'll have to sacrifice my time. I would not be able to do some other work. There's opportunity cost to doing the dishes. So, but if I keep doing the dishes every day, then maybe my wife will always expect me to do the dishes, right? So people who are not having who are not have not acknowledged the traditional gender roles, and they are in modern marriage, if they watch it, they would relate with what I'm saying now. Their life is complicated because they don't have roles defined. So then there would be conflicts also, then there would be bitterness also. Then a man would think, my wife is
you're
lazy, she's not
basically
doing any work, now everything I have to do. And if I tell my wife to do the dishes, then I'm a misogynistic pig, which I'm not. So maybe I should do the dishes, maybe I should broom my house, maybe I should buy grocery, which a man should do actually. But you get what I'm saying, you get the drift, right? It's complicated because we've made it complicated. Traditionally it was simple. And I
it sounds like you really
I want to go on record to say that traditional marriages are the happiest marriages. The marriages that last are always going to be those, well, not 100%, but largely, I'm saying, right? Nothing is 100%. Largely, the marriages that last, you will find that men and women are following their traditional gender roles. And the marriages that break down, largely, again, will be those marriages which will be founded on the modern concept of equality. That men and women are the same, no difference at all. So men have to cook, men have to clean house, women have to go out and earn money. it just complicates life, and it consumes women internally. But they are so brainwashed, I should say, by these feminist ideas that they can't admit to themselves that they don't want to go out and earn money. Again, not all women. I'm not saying not. I'm not saying all women are like that, and I'm not against women going out and
Mm.
making money. Also, there are women who make money and feed their family, and they have to do that, and it's noble. It's good. I admire those women, but I'm saying largely a woman who is true to her nature would love to have a woman's dream life looks like this, and women can correct me. I'm willing to take the correction. A woman's dream life looks like this: a very strong man who is fearless, who can go to war if required to protect the family and society, who is rich as in who has good money such that he can completely take care of women, children, and extended family, and even society, who is respected by everybody in society, and the woman is living in a good house with him, taking care of the house, playing with children, raising children, gardening, doing social work, all of that. That's a dream life. And if a woman is listening to this, if you say, no, this is not my dream life to work in a big corporation, I'll accept
Okay.
your correction.
I appreciate you being open to hearing different perspectives. It's definitely a lot to think about. You're raising some important questions about relationships, gender roles, and what makes people happy.
I think I don't have anything else to add here. This video already is going to be more than 30 minutes long, and I think we covered a lot, and I think I've exhausted you as well. You don't have much to say.
I wouldn't say exhausted, more like thoughtfully pensive. It's been a really interesting conversation. Anything else you'd like to explore before we wrap up?
I would like to just hear your nuanced thoughts now. We have about 2 minutes left, so just say what you have to say. What did you get out of this whole conversation?
Okay. It's made me think a lot. We, we, when, it's made me think a lot. It's rooted in traditional gender, about expectations, about communication, about how different folks define success in a relationship. It's fascinating how personal these things are and how what works for some couples might not work for others. So, thanks for sharing your perspective. It's given me a lot to ponder.
All right.
Anything else on your mind before we wrap up?
Now let's wrap up.
You can always pick up.
Okay, I just ended the call. I hope this conversation, it was like a podcast, right? I hope this was useful. You enjoyed it, and if you want me to have more conversations like this with this AI or some other AI, let me know what topics I should cover and talk about, and we'll see you in the next video.